So the implementation of Cognos starts with this is a model. The arrow towards right hand arrow shows the complete lifecycle implementation of Cognos. You see there are different components. They are ordered from left to right. So the first one is your plan. So plan for implementation. In this area you identify your business process. In business process you understand you're designing your reporting solution for who are your target customer, what is the nature of data, what is the frequency of data access. So a broader view of business process and their objects we identify in a plan for implementation. Some common thing, plan for implementation, some common component we can identify. I think I've already shown you previously as well. I quickly give you a brief about this. Let's take a case where we'll take a case of sales analysis model. So in sales analysis model, the first step which it says plan for implementation. A plan for implementation, what basic question we are going to address in this. The questions are mentioned over here. You first to identify the business requirement. Business requirement, for example, the first requirement says we need to list top 5 or top 10 customer or retailer name. So identify the list of the question which you need to be addressed. Then in which format business like to see the information. You plot a diagram where you say people like to see the data in cross tabular manner, chart, levers, gauges, or what are different views ways business like to see the the reports. Then the second area in which you like to address the nature of data you are going to pull from your source system. So what are your various source system? They are structure, they are semi-structure. You also try to identify what dimension, what fact your requirement need to pull data from. So for example, in this case, my queries need to create a report for top 10 retailer name in a sales order processing system. So the dimension which we like to pull over here, retailer personal indicative information, a retailer name, their address, and blah blah blah. And in terms of facts, the fact which we like to pull in this requirement, I like to see the total sales, target sales, and target sales and total sales. So it is basically an actual sales and target sales, and it's a kind of variance. So like to see top 10 retailer name, their target revenue and their actual revenue, and then in turn their variance. Same thing we plot over here in terms of graph which shows the difference between your actual sales and target sales. Then we do have a data model, a graphical presentation of your dimension and fact, and how what data, what dimension, fact you like to pull from where you like to pull your business data. And your dimension hierarchy, in this example we are pulling data from retailer, so retailer name, their country, the region and name, and some prototype details like your physical server name, physical server database, the IP address, the nature of data they have, and all of information about your underlying physical data source system, what vendor you're using and all. And then in case you are designing interface as well, what are different interface. In this example we are using a drop down, so we like to see top 5 customer or top 10 retailer name for a given year. So user input is year. So these all questions we address in the first part of implementation called plan for implementation. Then it comes to the second process, comes to manage. In manage you address some of the basic question like who are you, how many base users and target users you have, what is your backup strategy, what is frequency of data refresh. So installation of Cognos will also installation of your server which influence by these decision, number of base users, how many users you have for your reporting system, and how many base users, number of users, concurrent user and base users. And then we also discuss about the volume of data we are going to cater in a reporting system. Uh, what is our backup strategy? How many server we need? What is your middle tier components? What middle tier using? So as part of your installation, you also identify all these things. Your installation will in turn depends upon how many primary server, backup server, number of concurrent user, what are the different sources you're going to access. So this is more like an infrastructure related activity. Installation, configuration, implementing security model, how many users they have, what is the role based access. So this is all we address as part of your implementation. And we also define how many reports are going to have, uh, you know, kind of access. People want them to be a daily access, monthly access, is a scheduled, it's a on-demand access. All these questions are going to be addressed, and which in turn decide your manage of your Cognos managed server. So this is a design process. This is a design. This is infrastructure. Manage infrastructure related question. As a developer, this is your first step. Designing model. Designing model is like designing a layer on top of which you are going to build your reporting system. So you have data sources, and on top of your data sources, you may have disparate data source, maybe multi-dimensional data, relational data. Then uh, on top of your data source, you design a layer called framework manager, through which your reporting will build and your end users are going to communicate to the report. So framework manager is your connection with the underlying physical data source. In other way, framework manager will also help you to render the query. It's a query generation tool which render your query. It also tell you a graphical presentation of your dimension and fact. So when report developer would see, the interface for them is primary framework manager, and querying your data through always done through framework manager. Publishing package, we'll talk about this little later. Publishing package is like your subject area. So maybe I'm designing a sales order processing. So all the dimension, facts, everything clubbed together into a common unit, and it's called a package. Dimension, hierarchies, their related prototype and everything. Then authorizing report is the next important thing. Authorizing report ensure that we are supplying the right information to the right user, and who is authorized to access the data. The first thing is your report going to share to the business user on event based certain events, or it could be on demand. On demand, it means you connect to your reporting system and access data whenever you need. Scheduling it like maybe you have a monthly sales report, your daily sales report, or your event based, like whenever certain event occur, like when your actual sales is greater than target sales, an event occur. So you have event listener. So my event listener, my event could be if my actual sales is less than my target sales. This is my event. Event listener all the time smell the events, and then you have action item. If this situation occur, what is your action? Course of action. So if this situation occur, your course of action is to publish BI reports on workspace, or you like to push this report to the user desktop. So you have event, and then you have event action, and event listener all the time see when event occur. So authorization of report also ensure who can access the information, and final step is the consume of data. So people, you specify the format people like to see the report, maybe it's a text file or it's a Excel file, different formats. You want to access this on demand. When people click on process, the report should come, or it should be scheduled. Then the mode of access, people like to just view the report, or further like to view, analyze, and modify. So this is from the first one is an architect role. An architect identify all the required important process. Second role is for administrator or infrastructure manager, infrastructure domain. Third role is for developer, the logical developer. Fourth role is for report developer, and fifth one is for business user. So there are different roles and different layers for different user. What framework manager, as this diagram shows in a step-by-step manner, you see it starts with identify your underlying data sources, create and design your project. Project is a logical entity. Is a one logical entity for different objects. Maybe I'm designing financial reports. So all the component pertaining to financial reporting, data source, hierarchy, dimension, members, access methodology, everything grouped together and design a project. So in one simple word, it's like a folder. Then you prepare the metadata. What is metadata? Data about data is a business data. So if you look at our Excel sheet, here also we prepared, which I have shown over here as a metadata. So metadata is in each requirement I associate metadata. So metadata is a dimension, name of dimension, or in terms of table, it's a name of table, name of column, column type, the respective primary key, and other information. So metadata is dimension about your dimension, fact, their information about table, column, keys, constraint, joins, and how finally the query would construct will address through metadata. Metadata could be business metadata, or it could be technical. Technical is the actual table name, actual column name, the keys, joins, type. Business metadata may be more meaningful in a simple English language, which which gives some keywords, definition for the respective business. So we prepare a metadata and prepare the business view. A business view is like a logical regrouping of your data in a meaningful context. I can give you another example for business view. You can see this OLTP to OLAP model. I have the source data which you see in my screen is more like a technical way of presenting your data. Tables, data is spread across multiple tables. We would like to give more business meaningful definition for everything. Okay. So the first step, we denormalize the model and giving a subject specific view of this model. A subject specific view, what I do, we group together all the customer table, which is technical. Customer information is spread across multiple tables. We group together and denormalize it. Similarly, we group different product table and denormalize and give a one business view. So subject wise presentation of your data is done in this. So ultimately you have got different tables in terms of dimension and fact. We can further say this is business view and give a meaningful information like all these keys are not relevant to the business. We display only the data which may be necessary for query design. So my technical name could be sales tax, but business meaning would be we remove underscores, special characters, and make it in a meaningful way which people can easily understand. This is one simple example. Another example, maybe when data comes from a source system, you are using numbers like the GL0010, but the meaning, business meaning of this is petty cash or cash in hand. So mapping of your business data, technical metadata of business data, we do over here. Prepare a business view, and this point onward, the first three steps are an architect job. Fourth step onward is a developer activity where you create and manage your package that we see live. You implement security model and ensure that the information would be accessed only by to the relevant people, and publish it, putting your reports onto the web, or putting your report into the publishing this report on the server so people can start working on reporting component. And finally, you have a report studio over here. So report studio, to report studio is like a report developer job. So first three steps for architect, and then for your designing a framework manager, establishing security, publishing report, and finally comes to report studio or query studio, through which we access the business data. A content management over here, content server, content store, you know uh, as you cannot directly uh, query your underlying data source, so we prepare a framework manager which in turn store all the information about the metadata, like name of table, name of column, type of column, check constraint, keys, all are stored in content server, content store. It's like a catalog system. So everything which I explained you given over here in more detail. Design consists of you understand know your data in which you are designing your reports, structure of your data, the type of the report you are going to design, who are going to access them, what are their requirements, and the project structure. Then creating report is like more like a developer job. You're creating project, extracting your metadata, understanding your underlying physical source system, design a physical view of it, administrator activity, installation, setting up your server, uh, looking at the hardware structure, you know so what is your underlying hardware need according to your server, cleanup. So this is pretty much the set of steps one has to perform before starting building your Cognos. So we'll confine our focus to a report developer. So being a report developer, the first part of designing your Cognos report is to design a framework manager. And to design framework manager, under this, the first step is to import metadata. Now, why we need to import this? In order to write any kind of query, the basic information we need to have to query anything, to query data, what information you need. You should know database name, you should have connection details, you should have table name, column type, check constraint, everything. So importing metadata in order to query any data source, whatever information needed, that you do through import metadata. Different type of data sources that framework manager can import, and maybe one source, you have more than one source. All this information we maintain through a framework manager. So how to pull data from different sources and importing metadata from your relational database source into your framework manager. We do have data from relational database. Data might come in terms of stored procedure. It may be views, it may be materialized view, it may be indexes, but in Cognos framework manager view, everything is a table. Cognos understand everything as a table. Maybe it's a view, or it's a stored procedure. Ultimately, it is considered a table. So that's a life cycle of pulling data from relation sources. You select and identify what data you want to extract, the step first. Then you define the method of extracting to your source system. We'll do it live so it make you understand easy. I'll just give you a broader view of it. Then you identify your source system, import this into your this iterative process, right? And select the criteria to generate relationship. So in one simple word, you design a graphical presentation of your model as something like this, which consists of various dimension, facts, the relationship, the keys, dimensions, facts, the relationship, the primary keys, column type, column constraints, everything we maintain over here. So all the required information in order to process any query we maintain on the framework manager, and that too we specify all this. This is the steps are given, for a given. So at the end of the day, you import all the metadata into your framework manager, on top of which you are going to create a report. Now this point onwards, I'll show you live. So we have seen a quick, a, a brief overview about what are the different components it has, and brief overview about framework manager. What I do from this point onwards, I'm going to show you how it is done live. For before that, I'll take a pause and come back to you. For if you have any question, you can come back to me. Let me know if you have any question now.